Welcome back. This is Sports Tech. I'm Mike Millstein. We'll first start off, of course, in Major League Baseball, where the Yankees had their home opener on Thursday, March 31st, against the Detroit Tigers. It was a big win. They had the big home run by Mark Teixeira in the fourth inning to put them up 3 runs, and Curtis Granderson had the clincher in the 7th, and Mariano Rivera had the save to have put them 1-0. We then go to the Mets. They will have their season opener against division foe, the Marlins. Tonight, Mike Pelfrey's on the mound. Jason Bay's on the DL with a sprained left ribcage. He'll be back mid-April, and hopefully he's back to full health. Then we head to the NBA, where the New York Knicks, who lost 9-11, are off the snide after 2 big wins against the Orlando Magic and the New Jersey Nets. They hope that they can gel well with Chauncey Billups and Carmelo Anthony in that starting lineup with Amari Stoudemire, their key free agent in the offseason. Then we head to the Division I NCAA tournament, where it's the time of year where it's the Final Four, and we have a special analyst in Houston, and that is Sports Illustrated and CBS Sports, Seth Davis, and he's welcome to join us right now. And Seth, tell us a little bit about VCU. This team was not expected to even be in the tournament, but they are here. They were in the first 4, now they're in the Final Four. Tell us a little bit about that run for VCU.
Nobody even expected them to be in the tournament, including themselves. They did not get together as a team to watch the selection show. They were all kind of off doing their own thing and not really paying attention, and just kind of under the assumption that they weren't going. They had lost 7 games inside their conference, and they had lost 5 games down the stretch. They lost their last 4 games in the league. They lost their regular season finale at home to James Madison, and they just found a piece of that March magic and have gone along for the ride. They're doing it from behind the 3-point line, Michael. That's the biggest weapon. They were a 36% 3-point shooting team during the course of the season, and now they're shooting 44% in the tournament. That's almost statistically impossible to be able to do that. But the 3-point line is a great equalizer. They're also playing incredible defense. And, they've beaten slow teams like Georgetown and Purdue. They've beaten up-tempo teams like Florida State, Kansas, and they've done it every which way, beaten a team from 5 of the 6 power conference leagues, and now they get to the Final Four and play a team from the horizon. Go figure.
Now let's head over to Butler, their 2nd straight year in the Final Four, a team that had the X on their back the whole year. They've had incredible wins in this tournament. Tell us a little bit how they are making this a second incredible run back to the promised land, the Final Four.
In many ways, Michael, this run to the Final Four for Butler is even less likely than what happened last year. I mean, first and foremost, they lost the 9th pick in the draft. That in and of itself, I mean, as unlikely as it was going to the Final Four last year, they still had a really good player. And they still have good players. I mean, there are 2 players who've been leading them this year, returning starters. Shelvin Mack is a guard, junior guard, and Matt Howard is a senior forward. They've really anchored this team from the perimeter and from the interior. But they kind of had a rocky season. They start the year, they had a big game against Louisville. They got embarrassed. They lost to some games in the non-conference, and then they got into the Horizon League, and they entered the first week of February with a 6-5 record in the Horizon, and they had lost to Youngstown State. And Brad Stevens rejiggered his lineup a little bit, brought Ronald Norrid off the bench, but mostly they just kind of rededicated themselves to defense.
Now we'll go over to the other side, where Kentucky, a team that is very young. They lost all 5 stars last year to the NBA draft. John Calipari does a great job. But the guy that has been the glue to this team has been Josh Harrison. Tell us about his season and how it's just been incredible in this tournament for him.
And Michael, he is one of the great stories that I've seen in college basketball in recent years. I mean, this is a guy who played 88 total minutes last year. 88 total minutes. He scored 28 total points, which means in his first 2 NCAA tournament games here, he scored more points than he scored all of last season. And, a lot of it is just kind of having the opportunity. It's actually very ironic because, Kentucky was hoping and expecting that Ennis Cantor would be their center for the start of the season. He was a freshman from Turkey, and he was ruled ineligible by the NCAA. And Harrelson, he had a great game against Louisville on New Year's Eve day. I think he had something like 22 and 15, I want to say. That was like a big surprise to everybody, and kind of disappeared for a while and was effective in spurts, but not really wire to wire. And then really it's just in the last 4 weeks or so, he's just become a dependable, strong, physical, efficient, confident player. And he's made all the difference because that was the main weakness of this team was the 5 position. And he's really anchored the middle in a way that I think covers up a lot of their other deficiencies. And this is a very talented team, but it's still a very young team, and it had some very real deficiencies. And I think Harrelson and DeAndre Liggins, who is a junior, have really been the guys for Kentucky to kind of hold down the fort and keep the ship afloat, as it were, while the young guys were kind of feeling their way through it. And those two guys, but I think Harrelson has been the most valuable player for this Kentucky team during the NCAA tournament, and he's going to have to continue to be playing like that if they're going to win this weekend.
Now let's sit to UConn, which we maybe could call Kemba. Kemba Walker has been incredible, and he has led his team. He does not want this team to lose, and this tournament run since the Big East tournament and now to this NCAA tournament, 9 straight games. Tell us a little bit about why Kemba has been so incredible for this UConn team.
Kemba Walker has done, for them to go those 5 games in 5 days and to be where they are, I don't know that the sport has really ever seen anything like it. And he just kept waiting for the gas tank to get to empty with these guys. And it's not so much from a physical standpoint, Michael, because, they're in good shape and they're young kids. They're not all broken down, guys like you and me. But just the mental and intellectual and emotional dedication you have to apply, you would think at some point they would slip up, and they really haven't. They played a great first game against Bucknell, and they were off and running from there. They were in control against San Diego State, even though it was a competitive game. And, they're just a solid basketball team. Their young guys are getting better. Jeremy Lamb, I think, has really been one of the breakout stars of the tournament, and they're going to be awfully hard to beat this weekend.
So now we have the 2 matchups, VCU, Butler, UConn, Kentucky. Who do you think is going to win these 2 matchups?
You know what? I'll be honest. I'm still deciding. To me, the big question is, does VCU continue to play at the level that it has played at during the tournament, or does it regress to where it was during the season? I don't know. Butler's a great defensive team, but you know what? So is Purdue, so is Florida State, so is Kansas. And VCU just sliced and diced those guys. So do they get a little bit overwhelmed by the environment that they're in? Are they bothered by the sight lines of shooting at a football stadium as opposed to a basketball stadium? That's kind of an unknown. I think Kentucky and UConn are very, very evenly matched. Kentucky probably has a little bit more talent top to bottom, but not a lot. And you have 2 players in Kemba and Brandon Knight who are definitely clutch players. My instincts tell me to go to UConn only because I just feel like Kemba Walker will not let them lose. But, Kentucky's there for a reason as well, and it's really going to come down to the basics. Who's making shots, who's staying out of foul trouble, who has the hot hand, who gets the good whistle from the referee, who gets lucky. It's going to be a really close and exciting game, I'm sure.
So I know you're undecided, but when we see Monday night at 8 p.m. on CBS, who do you think is going to be the national champions?
I'm going to withhold on you for now. I'm still ruminating. I have until Saturday to make my official pick on CBS. But I don't know. The VCU question is very vexing to me. I got to sleep on it for a few days.
Thanks, Seth. We know you have a great time in Houston, this incredible time of year, which is called the Final Four, and we can't wait for this weekend. So thanks for Seth, and this is it for sports. We'll head over to Political Desk with Sean Toomey.